For years, you bought the tickets, the souvenirs, and the pumpkins, thinking you were supporting the wholesome Roloff family legacy. You watched the sunsets over the rolling hills of Helveta, took photos in front of the iconic barn, and brought your children to walk the same paths that your favorite reality TV stars walked for decades. You trusted what you saw on the screen. You trusted the smile, the handshake, and the promise of a family-run business built on integrity and hard work. But today, we are pulling back the curtain on what might be the most devastating betrayal in the history of reality television. We are revealing the details of a bombshell legal nightmare that is reportedly unfolding behind closed doors. A situation that threatens to destroy everything Matt Roloff has built. According to exploding insider reports and leaked legal theories circulating among those close to the production, a massive class action lawsuit is being prepared that accuses Matt Roloff and Roloff Farms, Inc. of something unthinkable. The allegation is that he allegedly used your hard-earned money, the money you spent on pumpkin season tickets and tours, to fund a secret, fraudulent lifestyle that had nothing to do with the farm and everything to do with personal greed. If you want to stay ahead of this developing story and support independent investigative reporting that isn't afraid to expose the truth behind the reality TV smoke and mirrors, please take a second right now to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm that you want the truth exposed. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because as these court documents potentially come to light, you are not going to want to miss a single update. Now, let's get into the details that the mainstream entertainment news is too afraid to touch. We are talking about a legal filing that sources are referring to as the fan fraud lawsuit of the century. We have been hearing whispers for weeks, but new information suggests that a law firm identified in reports as Peterson Andy has officially begun the process of filing a federal class action lawsuit against both Matt Roloff personally and the corporate entity of Roloff Farms. This isn't just a small claims dispute over a bad batch of pumpkins or a trip and fall accident on the property. This is a systematic, organized legal attack representing what insiders claim are thousands of defrauded viewers. The plaintiffs leading this charge are reportedly 5 distinct families, but they are merely the face of a much larger group. They represent every single ticketed guest who attended pumpkin season from the years 2018 through 2023. Think about that time frame. That is 5 years of revenue. That is hundreds of thousands of guests. That is millions of dollars in transaction fees, parking passes, wagon tours, and merchandise sales. The narrative being constructed by this legal team is absolutely chilling. They are not arguing that the farm didn't exist. They are arguing that the entire premise of the business during those specific years was based on a lie. The core of this lawsuit allegedly hinges on the concept of fraudulent inducement. For those who aren't lawyers, fraudulent inducement happens when someone tricks you into a contract or a purchase by lying about the facts. The lawsuit claims that during the years 2018 to 2023, Matt Roloff aggressively marketed the farm experience using the image of a happy, cohesive family unit, specifically utilizing the likenesses of his grandchildren and the promise of a family legacy, while knowing full well that the family had already fractured and that the funds were being diverted. The report suggests that the attorneys for the plaintiffs are building a case that proves Matt solicited public money under the guise of maintaining a heritage site for his children and grandchildren, essentially treating the farm as a community trust that fans were supporting. But instead of that money going back into the farm, into the infrastructure, or into the future of the Roloff children, the lawsuit alleges it was secretly siphoned off. We are talking about allegations of profits being drained to fund personal luxuries, real estate speculation outside of Oregon, and what the lawsuit reportedly terms as fraudulent lifestyle investments. Imagine the betrayal. You paid $50, $100, maybe $200 for a day at the farm, believing you were helping Zach, Tori, and the kids keep their childhood home alive. You thought you were voting with your wallet to keep the farm and the family. But if these allegations are true, Your money wasn't saving the farm for the next generation. It was allegedly lining Matt's pockets to fund a lifestyle that excluded the very people he was using on the billboards. The specific filing supposedly details how the marketing materials for pumpkin season during these years heavily featured the grandchildren and the legacy narrative, creating a direct emotional link between the consumer's wallet and the well-being of the roll-off family unit. The plaintiffs are arguing that this was a calculated manipulation. They are saying that Matt knew the farm negotiation with his sons had already failed in private, yet he continued to sell the legacy dream to the public to maximize ticket sales. This is where the timeline becomes crucial and why the Peterson-Andy firm has reportedly chosen the 2018 to 2023 window. These represent the years where the behind-the-scenes turmoil was at its peak, yet the public-facing image was still trying to project hope. The lawsuit allegedly claims that by continuing to sell tickets based on the premise of a family farm, when it had transitioned into a sole proprietorship asset for liquidation, Matt committed consumer fraud on a massive scale. They are claiming that every ticket bought under the assumption that it was supporting the roll-off legacy was bought under false pretenses. This legal theory is aggressive, and it is dangerous for Matt. If a judge allows this class action to proceed, it opens the door to financial discovery that could expose every single bank transfer Matt has made in the last half-decade. We aren't just talking about refunding a few tickets. We are talking about a forensic accounting of the entire roll-off farm's operation. The plaintiffs are demanding to see where the money went. Did it go to farm maintenance, or did it go on vacation in Arizona? Did it go to the grandkids' trust funds? Or did it go to extravagant gifts and construction projects that only benefited Matt and his inner circle? The scary part for Matt is that these families aren't just asking for an apology. They are reportedly seeking punitive damages designed to punish him for the alleged deception. When you look at the sheer number of people who pass through those gates every October, the potential liability here is astronomical. We are looking at a lawsuit that could easily reach into the tens of millions of dollars if the fraud allegations hold up in court. And let's be honest, the timing couldn't be worse. With the show's future already hanging in the balance and the family dynamics completely shattered, a federal fraud lawsuit is the kind of anvil that sinks the ship for good. The reports indicate that the law firm has been quietly gathering evidence from disgruntled former employees and reviewing hours of television footage to prove that Matt's public statements contradicted his private financial moves. They are building a timeline of hypocrisy. Consider the implications of the Peterson-Andy filing. It suggests that there is documentation proving Matt intentionally misled the public. It suggests that there are emails, texts, or financial records that show a deliberate strategy to milk the family legacy angle for cash, while simultaneously dismantling that very legacy in private. If this is true, it changes everything we know about the last 5 seasons of the show. It means that every time Matt looked into the camera and talked about doing this for the family, he might have been creating evidence for his own future prosecution. The level of cynicism required to pull that off is staggering, and that is exactly what this lawsuit is trying to prove to a jury. The families involved in this suit are reportedly furious. They feel used. They feel like they were cast as extras in a reality show script that they paid to be in, only to find out the script was a lie. They are distinct, everyday people, mothers, fathers, grandparents, who traveled from across the country, booked hotels, rented cars, and stood in line, all driven by the emotional narrative that Matt spun. Now, realizing that their contribution might have been used to push the other roll-offs out or to fund a retirement plan that leaves the farm to strangers, they want justice. They want their money back, but more than that, they want the truth on the record. This is the setup for a legal battle that will make the divorce proceedings look like a friendly disagreement. We are moving past family drama and into the realm of federal court, consumer protection laws, and forensic audits. Matt Roloff isn't just facing his sons anymore. He is facing his customers. And as anyone in business knows, the customer is always right, especially when the customer has a high-powered law firm and a paper trail of broken promises. As we dig deeper into the specifics of the twist in this case, You will see why legal experts are calling this a no-win scenario for Matt. The specific mechanism of the alleged fraud is sophisticated, dark, and deeply troubling. To truly understand the gravity of this situation, we have to peel back the layers of what the legal team at Peterson Andy is calling the Grandpa Matt deception. This isn't just about a business owner making a profit. That is capitalism, and no one is suing Matt for making money. This is about the specific legal concept of fraudulent inducement, a term that is about to become the most important phrase in the roll-off universe. Fraudulent inducement occurs when a person is tricked into a transaction through the intentional misrepresentation of material facts. In plain English, it means you were lied to, and that lie is the only reason you opened your wallet. The lawsuit supposedly alleges that Matt Roloff didn't just market pumpkins, he marketed a falsehood. He marketed a future that he had already privately destroyed. Let's look at the timeline that the plaintiffs are reportedly using as their smoking gun. Between 2018 and 2023, the narrative on the show and in the farm's promotional material was heavily focused on the legacy. We saw endless B-roll footage of Matt walking the property with Jackson and Ember, talking about building the farm for them, about how every expansion and every new attraction was designed to secure the property for the next generation. This emotional hook was the primary driver of ticket sales. Fans weren't driving 2 hours to buy a pumpkin they could get at a local grocery store for $5. They were driving to Helvetia to financially support the transfer of this land to Zach and Jeremy. However, the insider reports attached to this lawsuit suggest that the lawyers have obtained proof that during this exact same window, Matt had already engaged in private consultations with estate planners and real estate developers to prepare the land for a commercial market sale or a segmentation that would make it impossible for his sons to take over. The twist here is devastating. While he was selling you tickets to save the farm for the kids, he was allegedly actively restructuring the assets to sell the farm out from under the kids. The lawsuit argues that this makes every ticket sold a fraudulent transaction. You were paying to support Plan A, while Matt was secretly executing Plan B. The allegations go even deeper into the finances. This is where the outrage reaches a boiling point. The class action filing reportedly outlines a theory of misappropriation of funds via lifestyle inflation. The plaintiffs are arguing that the revenue generated from the pumpkin seasons, money that was publicly touted as going back into the farm's infrastructure to keep it viable for the family, was instead funneled directly into personal luxury assets that had no connection to the business. The spotlight here falls squarely on the rapid accumulation of assets outside of Oregon, specifically the extensive time and money poured into the Arizona property and the extravagant trips taken with Caryn Chandler. Legal analysts reviewing the leaked summaries of the complaint suggest that the plaintiffs are connecting the dots between the record-breaking pumpkin season profits of 2021 and the massive, controversial construction of Matt's new dream home on the farm. This isn't just a house, it's a fortress. The lawsuit allegedly claims that Matt used the family farm revenue to build a personal estate that was designed solely for his and Caryn's comfort, explicitly excluding the original family home that fans associated with the brand. By categorizing these massive construction costs as farm improvements or business expenses, the suit alleges Matt was able to drain the company coffers, leaving the actual family aspect of the business underfunded and overpriced for his sons to purchase. Consider the Caryn factor mentioned in the theoretical legal briefs. Insider theories have long swirled that Caryn was the architect of the new financial strategy, pushing Matt away from the messy, less profitable family legacy model and toward a ruthless liquidation and luxury model. The lawsuit reportedly seeks to depose Caryn to determine how much influence she had over the allocation of pumpkin season profits. Did the money meant for the petting zoo upgrades go toward Arizona landscaping? Did the revenue from the wagon tours fund first-class travel? If the lawyers can prove that the funds solicited under the guise of family heritage were immediately diverted to fund a retirement lifestyle that necessitated selling the farm, they have a slam-dunk case for fraud. The twist is psychological as much as it is financial. The lawsuit claims that Matt weaponized the goodwill of the audience. He knew that viewership numbers were tied to the wholesome family dynamic. He knew that if he announced in 2018, "I am planning to sell this place to the highest bidder and cut my sons out," ticket sales would have plummeted. The Roloff Farms brand is worthless without the Roloff family soul. So, according to these explosive allegations, he maintained a calculated charade. He kept the grandpa mask on for the cameras and the customers, smiling and waving at the pumpkin season crowds, all while his lawyers were drafting the paperwork to dismantle the very dream he was selling them. We need to talk about the golden ticket theory that is central to this case. The plaintiffs are reportedly focusing on the premium, VIP, and private tour packages sold during the pandemic years. These were expensive, exclusive experiences where fans paid a premium for intimate access to the farm, sold with the specific promise of seeing the future of the farm unfolding. The lawsuit argues that these high-ticket items were the most egregious examples of fraud because they were marketed to the most loyal, high-spending fans under the most false pretenses. These superfans were told their money was helping the farm survive the pandemic for the sake of the grandchildren. Instead, that money allegedly went straight into the war chest Matt used to fight his own sons during the negotiation process. Think about the irony. The money Zach and Jeremy's fans spent at the farm was allegedly used by Matt to hire the high-priced appraisers and lawyers who set the farm's price tag so high that Zach and Jeremy couldn't afford it. The fans effectively funded the eviction of the heirs they wanted to support. This is the betrayal that creates the foundation for the class action. It is a circular scheme of manipulation, where the victim's money is used to destroy the victim's dream. And now, we arrive at the threshold of the climax, the demand. The Peterson-Andy firm isn't playing games. They aren't asking for a coupon for next year's season. They are escalating this to a level that could bankrupt the entire operation. The legal filing reportedly demands a complete and total disgorgement of profits from the years 2018 through 2023. Disgorgement is a brutal legal remedy. It doesn't just mean paying back the profit margin, it means paying back every single dollar of revenue generated through the fraud. They are demanding a full refund for every ticket, every pumpkin, every jar of salsa, and every t-shirt purchased by the class members over a 5-year period. But they aren't stopping at refunds. The suit reportedly includes a demand for punitive damages, money intended purely to punish Matt for malicious conduct. The argument is that Matt's fraud was premeditated, predatory, and prolonged. Because he allegedly used a national television platform to perpetuate the fraud, the plaintiffs are arguing that the damages should be tripled. We are looking at a potential judgment that exceeds the value of the land itself. This leads us to the most terrifying prospect for Matt Roloff, the discovery phase. In any civil lawsuit, once the case moves past the initial motions, both sides enter discovery. This is where the skeletons come out of the closet. The plaintiffs have demanded the production of all internal communications regarding the farm's future from 2015 to the present. They want the emails between Matt and Caryn. They want the text messages between Matt and his accountants. They want the raw, unedited footage from the show that TLC never aired. Footage that might catch Matt admitting his true intentions when he thought the cameras were off, or when he was speaking to producers in confidence. Imagine Matt Roloff being forced to sit in a sterile conference room for days on end, under oath, with a camera pointed at his face, answering questions from a hostile attorney who has all his bank statements. Mr. Roloff, on October 14th, 2019, you posted a video asking fans to come out and support the legacy. 3 days later, you transferred $50,000 from the farm account to a personal holding company in Arizona. Can you explain that? Mr. Roloff, did you or did you not tell your son Zach in private that the farm was just an asset to be liquidated, while simultaneously selling legacy passes to the public? He cannot lie in this deposition. If he lies, it's perjury, which is a crime. If he tells the truth, he admits to the fraud and loses the lawsuit. It is a trap of his own making. The lawyers are specifically targeting the discrepancy between his poor farmer pleading, where he often complained about the cost of maintenance, and his lavish spending. They want to expose every dollar spent on custom fabrication for his toys, every dollar spent on remodeling the new house, and cross-reference it with the revenue coming in from the fans. They are looking for the smoking gun that proves the farm wasn't a business struggling to survive. It was a cash cow being milked to death before being sent to the slaughterhouse. The discovery demands also reportedly extend to the Roll-Off Farms, Inc. corporate minutes. The plaintiffs want to see the official records of the board meetings. Since Matt is the primary decision-maker, these records will show exactly when he decided to pivot away from the family. If the records show that he decided to sell or change the business model in 2018, but he kept the family farm marketing campaign running until 2023, that is documented proof of intent to deceive. Furthermore, there is the Caryn deposition. The plaintiffs are reportedly adamant that Caryn Chandler be deposed. As a former farm manager turned girlfriend, she occupies a unique space. She knows the business operations better than anyone, and she knows Matt's personal finances better than anyone. The lawyers want to grill her on the timeline of their relationship and the timeline of the financial shifts. Did the shift in farm profits to personal accounts coincide with the start of their relationship? Did she advise him to stop investing in the family side of the business? Her testimony could be the pin that burst the bubble. This is the nightmare scenario. It is not just about losing money, it is about the total destruction of reputation. If these documents become public record, and in a class action lawsuit they often do, the world will see the raw, unfiltered truth about Matt Roloff. They will see the spreadsheets, the emails, and the calculated decisions that alienated his children and scammed his fans. The wholesome image will be legally certified as a fraud. The fans represented in this lawsuit are fueled by a sense of righteous indignation. They feel they were part of a community, a Roloff extended family. To find out that they were viewed merely as revenue streams to fund a golden parachute for Matt and Caryn is a slap in the face. This emotional component is what makes the lawsuit so dangerous. A jury is likely to sympathize with the grandmother who saved up to bring her grandkids to the farm, only to find out she was lining the pockets of a man who was cutting his own grandkids out of the will. The emotional narrative is overwhelmingly in favor of the plaintiffs. As we look toward the final fallout of this legal catastrophe, we have to ask ourselves, is there any way out for Matt? Can he settle this? A settlement would likely require millions of dollars and a non-disclosure agreement. But with the Peterson-Andy firm smelling blood in the water, they might not settle. They might want to take this all the way to trial to set a precedent for reality TV stars who exploit their audience. They want to make an example out of him. This brings us to the precipice of total ruin. The combination of the financial judgment, the legal fees, and the PR disaster creates a perfect storm. Matt Roloff has survived divorce, health scares, and family feuds, but he has never faced a federal judge and a jury of his peers who feel cheated. The walls are closing in, and the Grandpa Act isn't going to work in a court of law. We are now staring down the barrel of the ultimate consequence, a scenario so bleak that it makes the family feuds of the past look like child's play. The legal team at Peterson-Andy isn't just looking for a payout. They are looking to set a precedent regarding the piercing of the corporate veil. In legal terms, this means that because Matt allegedly treated Roloff Farms, Inc. as his personal piggy bank, mixing business funds with his own private spending, the courts can strip away the legal protections that usually save business owners. If the veil is pierced, Matt Roloff is no longer a businessman protecting his company. He becomes personally liable for every cent. This means they can come after his personal bank accounts, his private investments, and yes, even the retirement nest egg he has been building with Caryn in Arizona. This brings us to the most devastating aspect of the lawsuit's potential fallout, the bankruptcy trap. Most people assume that if you get sued for millions and lose, you can just file for bankruptcy, wipe the slate clean, and move on. But here's the catch that the plaintiff's lawyers are counting on. Under federal law, debts incurred through fraud, false pretenses, or malicious deception cannot be discharged in bankruptcy. If the jury finds that Matt committed fraud to sell those tickets and fund his lifestyle, that debt sticks to him like a tattoo. He could be 90 years old, still paying off the families he allegedly scammed. He would be legally tethered to his betrayal for the rest of his natural life, with every Social Security check and every residual check from the show potentially garnished to pay back the fans. Imagine the optics of the discovery phase hitting the tabloids. We are talking about the potential release of credit card statements that show pumpkin season revenue paying for Caryn's first-class flights, designer renovations, and luxury dinners, all while the farm's actual infrastructure was reportedly crumbling or being prepped for a sale. The humiliation would be total. The visionary of roll-off farms would be exposed as a man who allegedly cannibalized his own children's legacy to fund a golden parachute for himself and his girlfriend. The wholesome grandfather image would be shattered, replaced by the image of a man testifying under oath about why he bought a vacation home instead of securing the farm for his twin boys. The ripple effect of a judgment like this would be the final nail in the coffin for the television show. TLC has weathered scandals before, but a federal ruling confirming that the star of the show defrauded his own audience is a bridge too far. Advertisers would flee. The network would likely be forced to cancel Little People Big World immediately to distance themselves from the liability. Matt wouldn't just lose the farm, he would lose the platform that made him famous. He would be left with the silence of a sprawling estate he can no longer afford, surrounded by the remnants of a family he pushed away, and hounded by creditors representing the very fans who used to cheer for him. And think about Zach and Jeremy in all of this. For years, they were painted as ungrateful or entitled for not accepting Matt's terms. If this lawsuit succeeds, it vindicates them completely. It proves that their hesitation wasn't entitlement, it was intuition. They likely smelled the rot before anyone else did. They knew the numbers didn't add up. If the fans win this lawsuit, it will be the ultimate grim validation for the roll-off children, proving that the empire wasn't lost because the kids didn't work hard enough. It was lost because the father sold them out for a quick buck and a comfortable retirement. The sheer scale of the refund demands means that Matt might be forced to liquidate the farm anyway, not to a developer, but to a court-appointed trustee to pay off the judgment. The land that he refused to sell to his own blood for a family discount could be auctioned off to strangers for pennies on the dollar, just to satisfy the legal debt. It is a Shakespearean tragedy of greed. He held onto the farm so tightly, refusing to compromise with his sons, that he is now at risk of losing it entirely to a group of angry strangers holding class action paperwork. This story is developing rapidly. The initial filings are just the first shot in a war that will likely dominate the headlines for the next year. As we wait for Matt's legal team to respond, the silence from the farm is deafening. Every day that passes without a denial fuels the speculation that the evidence against him is overwhelming. The Peterson-Andy firm is reportedly already setting up a website for potential class members to join the suit, and the numbers are growing by the hour. So now I have to ask you, the viewer, the fan, the person who watched this family for 20 years, if you ever bought a ticket to roll-off farms between 2018 and 2023, do you feel scammed? Do you feel like your money was used to betray the very people you tuned in to watch? If you had known that your admission fee was funding Matt and Caryn's Arizona getaway instead of the farm's future, would you have still gone? This isn't just about a TV show anymore. It's about consumer rights and the truth. If you are one of the thousands who walked through those gates, you might be entitled to join this fight. Would you sign your name to the class action? Would you demand your money back? Or do you think Matt deserves a pass? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. Are you Team Matt, or are you ready to see justice served? Make sure you are subscribed to this channel, because as soon as the first subpoena drops or the first deposition video leaks, I will be breaking it down right here. Do not forget to like this video to help spread the word to other fans who might have been defrauded. The truth is coming out, and it looks like it's going to cost Matt Roloff everything. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.